Uzbekistan and Indonesia are nearly 9,000 kilometers apart, but both countries share a historic, long-standing, and important relationship that stretches 30 years and beyond. Uzbekistan is a strategically important trade partner for Indonesia, a main gateway for Indonesian products to enter the Central Asian market. On the other hand, Uzbekistan also relies on many Indonesian imports like food commodities, tropical fruits, coffee, and vegetable oils. Indeed, Uzbekistan is a double landlocked country, meaning it has no direct access to the sea or ports, so continuous trade with partners like Indonesia are very important for the country's economic sustainability. Over the years, bilateral trade between Uzbekistan and Indonesia has risen exponentially from $13 million in 1997, surging to $39.5 million by 2020. Both Uzbekistan and Indonesia are also the largest Muslim countries in their respective regions, making the ties between the two nations even more special.
Recently, in late June, Indonesia and Uzbekistan celebrated 30 years of diplomatic relations. So tell us, what is so special about the relations between Uzbekistan and Indonesia?
Thank you for raising this question. It's very interesting, and most my Indonesian the friends and the partners always raise this question: what is unique between Uzbekistan and Asia? I would say that there are different the factors. One of them is certainly the religion. Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world. Uzbekistan is the biggest Muslim country in Central Asia, in its region, number one. Number two, that we are both Asian nations, I would call it. Doesn't matter you are in Central Asia or in Southeast Asia, certainly we can generalize it as the Asian nations. According to the recent statistics of the first half of the current year, the volume of our bilateral trade increased nearly several millions, 1.6 times. Wow. So it's showing that we are on the right way and we're doing right things.
Uzbekistan also exports hundreds of thousands of tons of chemical fertilizers to Indonesia, a vital commodity that is essential to Indonesia's food production and also deeply important in this current era where global fertilizer prices have skyrocketed by 80% last year and surged 30% so far this year as a result of Russia's war in Ukraine.
From what I've read, one of the main exports from Uzbekistan to Indonesia is fertilizers. This is something very important right now. There's a so-called global food crisis going on right now.
Yes, fertilizer, one of the promising and one of the main commodity that we trade. According to the recent statistics, around 57% of our bilateral trade composed of the fertilizers, the chemical products. We do export the fertilizer, potassium, to Indonesia, and moreover, we are ready to invite the Indonesian investors who wants to invest in the chemical industry in Uzbekistan, so they can guarantee the source of the chemical products for the Indonesian needs, because as you rightfully mentioned, in current state of affairs of world politics and world economy, you must ensure stable source related to the food security. And certainly the chemical industry, we talk about the potassium, certainly is a part of agriculture mainly, right? It's certainly part of the food security.
But it's not just trade. Indeed, the two countries also share many key similarities. As mentioned, both Uzbekistan and Indonesia have the largest Muslim populations in their respective regions and have a historical tie in this regard. In 1956, when Indonesia's first president Sukarno was invited to visit Russia by Premier Nikita Khrushchev, President Sukarno insisted that he would only visit Moscow if Khrushchev could find the tomb of Imam al-Bukhari so that Sukarno could visit it and pay his respects. In fulfilling President Sukarno's wishes, Russian officials then conducted a search and eventually found Imam al-Bukhari's tomb in Kartang, Uzbekistan. And the mausoleum is now one of Uzbekistan's most famous sites and is visited by millions of Ziyarah tourists every year.
Certainly, it's historical fact that President Sukarno, we say he was the first Ziyarah tourist visited Uzbekistan. At that time, due to the certain the political factors and so on, let's be honest, the international community paid maybe the less attention to that Imam al-Bukhari, the complex, the tomb. But after the visit of the President Sukarno, the place regained the attention. And nowadays, the Indonesian tourists who wants to follow the way of the President Sukarno, they are free to come to Uzbekistan and enjoy the Imam al-Bukhari complex, which is now looking fantastic.
Indeed, many of the developments and origins of Islamic history are centered in Uzbekistan. For example, one of the oldest manuscripts of the Holy Quran, belonging to the Caliph Usman, which is over 1,000 years old, is kept in the Uzbekistan capital of Tashkent.
As you were mentioning previously as well, Indonesia's President Sukarno, the first Ziyarah tourist to Uzbekistan. So just talk to us more about sort of the tourist sites and the sort of the history in Uzbekistan, halal tourism, Ziyarah tourism. What can tourists expect when they go to Uzbekistan?
Yeah, when the people want to visit Uzbekistan, I would say they will see the fantastic place that I promise.
Right.
It can be related to Ziyarah, it can be related to the leisure or other type of the tourism, but certainly they will see the fantastic place. But of course, being honest, the one of the promising is the Ziyarah tourism, because Uzbekistan is the motherland of the greatest minds in Islam, of the Islamic civilization and the world civilization even. You can say the Imam Bukhari, At-Tirmidhi, Al-Khwarazmi, called Al-Jabr. You can continue this list longer and longer and longer, but the core idea, what I'm saying, the place is the magnet of the Islamic civilization. Yeah. So certainly when people, they come, they touch the history. This is the one part. Another part, when you visit the foreign countries, certainly you want to visit the historical places, the monuments, architecture, and in some places, sometimes they can be located in different various the sites. In Uzbekistan, we still have the historical, the authentic cities, including the walls. So once you cross the wall, once you cross the city gate, I would call it, you are visiting the whole historical city. Name it Bukhara, name it Khiva, or even in certain parts of the Samarkand in Tashkent.
What's astonishing is that these structures are thousands of years old, but the Uzbekistan government has made it a priority to ensure the quality of their condition.
Since the independence, it was the top priority of the governments, always to keep them in authentic shape, to keep them as unique as possible. That's why most of them under UNESCO cultural heritage. But when we talk about the tourism industry in Uzbekistan, it's not only the Ziyarah tourism, because we have 4 seasons, fantastic 4 seasons. So we have the beautiful spring and autumn, and then summer and fantastic winter. What is interesting, recently the winter tourism also getting very high popularity among Indonesian tourists. They are coming to see the Uzbekistan, the world-class ski resorts, and enjoying the snow. So, but what is the unique part? Doesn't matter in which season you will go to Uzbekistan, you always can mix it with the Ziyarah, or vice versa. Ziyarah mixed with the other type of the tourism. This is a very unique moment.
Meanwhile, Indonesia and Uzbekistan also have strong cooperations in tourism. In fact, Indonesians wanting to visit Uzbekistan do not even have to apply for a visa.
And number one, I want to say that we implemented for Indonesian citizens visa-free regime for 30 days. So they can stay in Uzbekistan without any visa up to 30 days. Number one. Number two, we are learning the needs of the Indonesian market. If we talk specifically about the Indonesian market, and one of the examples in 2019, We signed the halal tourism halal standard cooperation agreement with the Lombok. So, and then the sister cities, the agreement between Lombok and Bukhara, in order to implement those Indonesian-style halal standards into Uzbekistan tourism market.
Furthermore, Indonesian tourists wanting to visit Uzbekistan do not even have to quarantine upon arriving and don't have to show a negative PCR test result.
Nowadays, no quarantina.
Right.
You don't need to take the PCR test results. You just need to buy your ticket and fly.
So there's when you visit Uzbekistan, there's no need for quarantine or PCR test?
Nothing needed. We're back to normal.
Back to normal.
Back to normal.
That's good
We
to
are
hear.
handling quite well.
Those are good words to hear, back to normal.
Meanwhile, Uzbekistan and Indonesia are also working on bolstering business cooperation in tourism, including creating a direct charter flight from Tashkent to Bali. Indeed, tourism is one of the leading sectors of cooperations between the two countries, involving discussions not only between governments, but between all players involved, including tourist agencies, with the aim of also bringing more Uzbekistani tourists to Indonesia as well.
As I told you, the tourism nowadays is the leading and the promising and the leading the topic among the business circles. And recently we had the negotiations with the touristic agencies and the stakeholders in Uzbekistan, Indonesia. Now we are working on bringing the Uzbekistan tourists to Indonesia. I would say directly with the charter flights from Tashkent to Bali. So in this field also the work is on. It's not only the bringing Indonesians to Uzbekistan, but also bringing Uzbekistan the tourists to Indonesia. This is the quite big industry.
Right.
So we need to engage with the many stakeholders, many business circles to make it possible.